Okay, so here we are with our update, our first update on the bus. So, what was it, a couple weeks ago you brought it home?
Yeah, I guess it's been about 2 weeks, and we've been hard at it during evenings to get this thing stripped and cleaned, and we're just about there. Over here we have the very small remains of everything that came out of this bus. This will be trailer load number 3 going to the dump. And as you can see, we have the floor out, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. We have one side of the bus pressure washed, looks a lot better. The screens are off, the awning and whatnot, and most of the barnacles. We'll get to that pretty soon here. We'll take a look inside. So as you can see, there is not much left. The floor has been taken up, and you can see the frame and all the underpinnings of the chassis. Everything looks to be in pretty good condition, very little rust to contend with. So we're today going to steam clean it, get it all cleaned up and pulled inside the shop, and we're going to start doing some mechanical work to it. And at that point we'll start putting in some of the utilities under the bus, such as the water tanks, the propane tanks, batteries and whatnot. And at that point we'll put the floor back in and build up from there.
And you're working on this from kind of a mechanical standpoint and the house standpoint, right? You're trying to do both.
Yes, and I think that is an interesting thing with this particular bus. It is an older bus, being 1967, so there is a bit of vehicle restoration as well as converting this into a school bus. You know, a lot of people buy buses that are 20 years old or newer that are still in pretty good mechanical shape, and this one is as well, but you know, a lot of the seals have perished and a lot of the hoses need to be replaced, and so those items that don't age well will need to be gone through, and some of the things will need to be cleaned up. A little bit of rust on the wheel wells and whatnot. So it does add an extra element to it, but what we do gain is a much simpler vehicle to work on. The wiring is very simple, the engine is very simple, and so it's all things that I can take care of myself, which will save on mechanic bills.
So if you don't mind, perhaps explaining to me from the front to the back what your plan is for the bus on the inside layout. So where are we right now? Where are you standing?
Well, right here we are at the front door. We have these lovely French doors.
Oh, that's
here.
nice.
Yes, on my house. And coming inside, we will have, again, the driver's seat here, which will be just by itself there. On the passenger side of the bus, down below the floor is the gas tank, which we just took out, and then right here at the front of the bus will be a booth that will seat 4 people, the front seat of which the backrest will be reversible, so it can be reversed so people sitting there can face forward when we're driving.
With seatbelts? With
seatbelts. Then on this side of the bus, underneath the floor, will be 4 propane tanks. These are the air tanks here for the air brakes. 4 propane tanks underneath. And then on top of the floor will be a couch that has storage underneath, as well as will be able to turn into a bed. Moving on back, behind the booth will be the pantry for the kitchen. Possibly the refrigerator will go here, depending on how tall it is. Might go under the counter. Microwave might go here, but this will be the pantry section. Underneath the floor, taking up most of the floor from the gas tank back to where the bathroom will be a 200-gallon gray water tank.
What's gray water?
Gray water is wastewater that is essentially anything except for sewage. So anything that is not going through the toilet. Now there are some different guidelines depending on your state as to what that is, but generally gray water is considered everything except for stuff that's going through the toilet. So we'll have a 200-gallon tank for that. And then moving on over here, underneath the floor here will be the freshwater tank. It will be 100 gallons. And on top of the floor will be the kitchen. And it will include either an under-counter refrigerator or just cabinets, then the sink, countertop, and then the stove. On this side of the bus, this will include a stand-up shower, and we are actually going to do a drop pan to make it a little bit taller, so the pan will stick about 8 inches below the level of the floor, and that will make it a little bit easier to
Because you're a tall
shower.
guy.
Yeah, as you can see, the bus is already about an inch shorter than I am, but that'll make it nicer. Then the composting toilet will go here. All right, moving on back. This, on top of this wheel well, will be cabinetry, may go to the roof, and this will most likely include, this will be our utility closet. So this will be our instant hot water heater, as well as our electrical system for the solar, the inverter and whatnot will go in there, and it may include clothes as well. On top of this wheel well will probably mostly be a clothes closet and other storage. Moving again towards the back of the bus, this will be the bedroom. It will be a queen-size bed facing long ways, so there will be a space on either side to walk. There will be storage underneath the bed. Under the floor, what used to be the spare tire, there is a hatch on the outside. We're going to take advantage of that and turn it into a toolbox that can be accessible from the outside of the bus, since it already has the door there. And then at the very back, in this back corner, we will move the spare wheel, and it will just be on a ratchet system that will lower the wheel to the ground. And then over here under the floor will be our bank of RV batteries.
And what's that above your head?
Above my head is a roof vent that the previous owner installed. We will either keep it just as a roof vent or install our AC system in this pre-existing hole.
Nice. Very good. Do you have any advice for people starting their bus build?
Well, I think my advice would be as much charm as these older buses have. Keep in mind that most of the time people are buying these older buses for the way that they look, which they do look fantastic. However, if you don't do a lot of mechanic work yourself, just be prepared that they are a lot of work, that there is more work than just converting them into a home. There is, we had to actually, I think there's ground zero with converting a school bus, and that's stripping the seats out and just getting a plain floor and then building from there. We've actually had to go backwards even from that and tearing out the whole floor and doing a fair bit of mechanical work just to, and even this bus is in good mechanical condition, but again, a lot of that perishable stuff needs to be replaced. And so, I think while these older school buses have a tremendous amount of nostalgia and style, do be prepared that they are much more work than buying a much newer bus. And that's not to discourage people from getting older buses. I think for people like myself who do their own mechanic work, they are great. But for somebody who's just starting out, it may be best to start with a newer bus.
Wow, great. And so what's next here today? What else are you going to do today on the bus?
Today we just got the gas tank out, and so that's going to be sent out to be professionally cleaned and coated on the inside, so it should be good for another 50 years of use, and we should be getting that back soon. The big thing that's going to happen today is we're going to pull this out into the yard, and the whole inside of the bus is going to be pressure washed and steam cleaned. The walls are quite dirty, and the chassis is quite dusty and dirty and greasy, and the goal is to get all of that off so we have a clean working surface to which when we can start our mechanical work underneath the bus, as well as starting to install our underbus utilities.
Wow, very exciting. Okay, well, until next time, that was update number 1 on the bus.